Today in our devotional, we're talking about Jesus as the Lord of sorrows, and I'm standing in the Garden of Gethsemane, the garden that Jesus went to the night that he was betrayed. And in this garden, Jesus prays something very specific. He prays for the cup to pass from him. And it says that he was full of such anguish and agony that he actually began to sweat drops of blood. And so the question for us today in our devotional is, what in the world was in that cup? What would actually cause the perfect Son of God to sweat drops of blood? Well, Jesus understood what would be involved in Roman crucifixion. He had seen many other people nailed to a Roman cross. And so I don't think the thought of just the cross and the physical agony was the thing that caused him to sweat drops of blood. I don't think it was just the physical crucifixion that caused him to pray to the Father for the cup to pass from him. No, I think the cup was far worse than any physical torment. You see, in the Old Testament, we're told that the cup is the cup of wrath. You see, far worse than a Roman cross is the wrath of Almighty God. You see, what Jesus was anticipating was the wrath and the judgment of God falling upon him as the man of sorrows. In fact, Isaiah chapter 53 tells us what would happen to Jesus Christ. 700 years before Jesus was born, Isaiah the prophet in chapter 53 writes this: "He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and as one from whom men hide their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted, pierced for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. By his wounds we are healed." You see, the cup that Jesus was anticipating was the cup of the wrath of God, full of the judgment of God. We are told that on the cross, Jesus suffered something far worse than capital punishment from the Roman government. He experienced God the Father turning his face away from him. That is true agony. That is true sorrows. And what was horrible for Jesus on the cross was good news for us. It's why we're able to call Good Friday good. That on the cross, we see the gospel demonstrated fully through the death and through the substitutionary atonement of this man of sorrows. On the cross, he who knew no sin became sin so that we might become the righteousness of God. What does that mean? It's the great exchange. It means on the cross, God treated Jesus as if he were us. And by faith alone, he treats us as if we were the very Son of God. He gets our sin, and we get his righteousness. This is the glory and the good news of the cross. Thanks be to God that Jesus came to take our place. He truly is the Lord of sorrows.